Alright guys, so here we are. Here's all the pieces for the rangefinder. I'm just going to go ahead and mock it up for you right here. So we're just going to put the metal dowel in here, and you've got the top and the bottom pieces, I guess for a better term, that clip on it, and then you've got the two fins here that will slide in between those, and it's all just going to have to be glued together. And you can't really see it with my hands in the way, but I have to hold it together, so it'll all just sit there just like that. I probably should have thought that out better, but too late. So I'm just going to take this back out here, and it's hollow. You can see it's just some hollow aluminum tubing, and I want to make it a little bit stronger. So I went and I picked up this 1/4-inch oak dowel, which I am going to put inside there. So you'll see it's a really tight fit, and it actually is the correct size. I was shocked that it's exactly 1/4-inch circumference on the inside, and you can't really see here. I'm going to put it up here. Yeah, you can't really see how tight it is, but it is really tight. The camera won't focus on it that close, but it does take up the whole thing. So we're just going to go through and mark it so that we can cut it. So I'm just going to put a quick little pencil line on there, and then we'll pull that back off, and we will get it ready for cutting. Right, so get that off of there, and I'm going to have to get my Dremel. So I'll do a quick little cut here, and I got my Dremel ready, and you can see the line there. So we'll put our safety glasses on here, and we will start cutting. So just got a regular old sanding cutting disc on there, and we'll just follow that line all the way around to cut that off. Should be really quick and easy. Alright, so we're done. So let's turn the Dremel off and put that away, and we'll go ahead and check this out here. Alright, so a little bit rough. I think maybe I will sand that off just so it's smooth. So we'll get a little sanding sponge here, smooth that out just a little bit to get the roughness off of it from cutting it with the Dremel. And once we get that done, let's go ahead and fit it in our aluminum tubing and see what we got. Slide that right in there, and it looks like it fits perfect. Bam, done. Look at that. So let's go ahead and see how it fits in here still. Right, makes it nice and stiff. I was a little bit worried with it being hollow. It's just something I wanted to do to take the strength of it up, and it seemed to have worked perfectly for what I was going for. So let's just go ahead and move this stuff out of the way now and address the rangefinder itself. And so I think we'll just start sanding on it here a little bit. Alright guys, so you'll see I'm just standing on it, and what I'm actually just trying to do is not only flatten the surfaces, but also define these edges a little bit more. I'm working on the edges here to make sure that they're nice and defined and sharp, and that they're uniform from left to right. So we're just going to keep sanding on this until I get it the way I like it. You'll see this is a really easy plastic to work with. This isn't 3D printed. This is actually cast and poured. So it's a really soft plastic. It's really easy to sand and get those edges nice and defined. Alright guys, so we finished the first round of sanding, and I actually used the Dremel a little bit here, and I also used some metal files that I have, the same ones that I used for the teeth, if you saw the earlier videos with the helmet when I had to do the teeth. So as you look here, let me get the camera to focus here real quick. So you've got these little lines right here. I did the back and I got it nice and straight, and then the little edges here you'll see on both sides, I kind of had to make those match because like I said, this was poured and not 3D printed, so it's not exact. And you'll see also here too, you'll see some pitting in it because it was poured and not 3D printed. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both ways. I bought this, like I said, from Imperial Surplus from Kevin, and it's poured, and it's a really soft and easy plastic to work with, as opposed to 3D printing where it's a hard plastic. It's not as easy to sand, but it is precise from left to right and more uniform. But we'll just get the glazing putty out, which is something that we do with 3D printed parts a lot, and we're just going to fill in some of those pits. So we'll put that on there and apply it with the card that we have here, and once we get that on, then that's going to have to be sanded smooth, and we'll just do that a couple times before we paint it. Alright guys, so here we go. I'm going to put some filler primer on the bottom plates and the fins, and we'll just get that painted up. And if you notice here, I just paint on some cardboard that I stacked on some old junk in the garage. Watch for a later video. I actually made a paint booth, so that'll be coming soon. I still have to edit it together. And I do have this piece of wood here, you'll see, with the screw on it, which works good for stuff like this, where I can just push the oak dowel out a little bit at the top end, and this gets stood up for me on the screw, and I can just go ahead and rotate it and paint up that aluminum rod as well. Alright, so we're back, and the glazing putty is dried on the rangefinder, so we'll go ahead and just sand that off until we get it the way we want it. Get it nice and smooth, make sure we fill in all those dimples that we found. So we'll just work on that here for a little bit. Alright, so here it is, all done and sanded. You'll see the Bondo or glazing putty that is left in the dimples. You can see all the little red dots. Everything is smooth. I got all the lines smoothed out. You can see all the dimples filled in. I got these little back wings nice and straight and even with each other. You know, everything looks good. Everything looks nice and straight and defined, so we are good to go, and I think we'll start painting it now. So let's go ahead and take it over to the table. Alright, so we're just going to add our first layer of the filler primer, and we'll see what it looks like when it's all done. Alright guys, here we are. We got all the pieces for the rangefinder base all primed up, and we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to mock it up for you again here real quick, this time a little bit better, and then we'll glue it together with this Gorilla Super Glue I got. I like this one because it has a brush on it that you'll see here in a second that we can just brush it on. So we flip these over and you'll see the little recesses in there that the tube fits nicely in, and then the fins will go in there. And the other one will go right on top. You just match the recess up with the tube, and there you have it. There, it's a little bit better. My hands are out of the way this time, and you can kind of see what it's going to look like. So now we got to start gluing it together. And to do that, I'm going to balance it on both so that the tube is straight. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other one at the top so that I have a level rod there, and then we'll start gluing it. Alright, so we're just going to let this dry, and due to editing, whammo, it's dry. Alright, so you'll see here that it is dry. We'll pick it up and it's stuck. Alright, so we got a clamp here and the fins, and I got another type of super glue here. This is a gel super glue, and you'll see me use that here in a second along with the brushed one that I had from before. The gel one is going to go on the top of the fins. And I'm pretty much going to use it as kind of a glue slash caulking, if you want to word it that way, for the part that extends up above onto the actual rod. Just sort of to glue it on up in there. I don't want to brush it on there. It's going to have a lot of residue. With that precise nozzle, I can squeeze it right in there and it'll be kind of like a caulking. And then we'll do the final paint job over it, which will hide it and help keep those fins in place where it's a little bit more narrow. Alright, so here it is, and we'll let it dry, and there we go, dry. So as you'll see it sitting there, you can see some unevenness to it. So I am going to, again, get the Bondo glazing and spot putty out, put some gloves on, and I'm going to try and get rid of those seams. One of them sticks out a little bit. When I sand that, that'll go smooth, but I also don't want to be able to see any of these lines. I kind of want to look like one solid piece. So you see it didn't work exactly perfect, but it's all good. We can fix it. That's what Bondo is for. So let's go ahead and start working on that. Alright, so we'll get ready, get our Bondo all set up here so that we can start filling in those cracks. And you'll see right here at the top, the rangefinder actually rubbed the paint off. It's such a tight fit that I actually didn't mask that and make that even silver up there. It actually rubbed the paint off of it. So we're just going to go ahead and leave it like that. And we'll start Bondoing up the bottom here. Alright, so you'll see our Bondo's all done, and we got it on there. So we're just going to go ahead and take our sanding sponge here, and we'll start sanding some of this Bondo off to try and smooth this out. guys, so here it all is, all painted up with the hardware. Alright, so you'll see the base is a lighter gray than the rangefinder, so I painted that base with this Rust-Oleum hammered, and you'll see that it is a light silver. There you can see the texture that comes with it. It's kind of like a crinkle paint. So I used that for the base, and then you'll see for the rangefinder here, you can see that it's darker. And I went ahead and I have the same type of paint and a darker gray or silver, whatever color you want to call this. And you'll see that the underneath is matte because I used the gray on the underneath that we used for the gray accents on the helmet itself. So the stripe and the teeth is what we used that for. So the top is like a shiny crinkle, and you'll see that dent right there. I left that in there. That's from the molding process, but to me it just looked like a battle scar, so I just sort of left it on there. And there is the dark gray crinkle hammered Rust-Oleum that I used for that rangefinder. So it's the two different colors of silver, dark and light, so it gives you like a two-tone look that I thought would be cool, so I just put it on there. So there's the three colors that we used, the matte gray that is on the underneath, and then the light silver and the dark silver that are both the rangefinder itself and its base stand. So now here's all the pieces and the hardware that we're going to need. And this is actually the insert that goes through the rangefinder that holds it to the helmet, and you'll see the screw will go in on the other end. And there's actually a third piece down there that's just a washer. And I actually went ahead and on this little silver piece here, since it goes in there, I wanted it to match. So I actually roughed it up with some sandpaper right there, and painted it the same silver, so that when you put it in there, it matches and it blends in. It already came like as a chrome, whatever type of metal it was, just shiny aluminum, but I decided to rough it up and paint it the same so that it blends in a little bit more and doesn't stand out. So that's everything that we need, and we'll just go ahead and make some room here, and we'll bring the helmet in. So now that we have the helmet and all of the hardware pieces, we can go ahead and start putting this together. So if you remember from an earlier video, we drilled a hole in the side of the helmet, right? And that's where this goes. And you can see there's some scuff marks on the helmet. I already dry fitted this on before I filmed it. So that's the actual marks that are on the helmet, and I'm not going to worry about touching up the helmet because it's going to be behind the rangefinder anyways, so it doesn't matter. So you go ahead and put the screw in the washer on the inside, and we'll take and put that insert through the hole in the rangefinder and line them up, and I'll get it started here, and then we'll just go ahead and tighten it down. So you can make it as tight or as loose as you want. It's kind of like a friction fit. I put mine kind of just taut at first, so you can move the rangefinder up and down. But I found that as you did that, it would actually work the screw loose. So I just went ahead and put it in the upright position and just tightened it down all the way so that it stays up, so that you don't move it up or down. If I ever want to address that issue later and come up with a fix, I'll probably make another video on it, but I don't see any point in putting it down. It's hard enough to see through the helmets already, and you don't need that in front of your eyes, so we'll just count it as that. So you'll see I pretty much have it straight up and down for how I want it. Like I said, I wasn't going to move it. So we'll just put it straight like this, and we'll tighten it down here real quick, and then we can go ahead and put the rangefinder on the top of it once we get this screw tight all the way. Alright, so we got that all tightened up nice and snug. So we'll just go ahead and get the rangefinder here. So here's our rangefinder, and we're going to put it on the top. Like I said before, it's super tight. It like ripped the paint off wiped the paint off, however you want to word that. But right now I'm just fitting it on here, making sure everything is straight. So you'll see, because the way the helmet sits, see, because it wasn't flat, because the filters, it actually tilts the helmet backwards. So you don't actually get the actual straight up and down. So you got to kind of hold it up to make sure that it is vertical at a 90, because your helmet will lean back simply because of the way the respirators are in the front. But it looked pretty good to me, so I think we will leave it as that. So I'll just go ahead and take this rangefinder back off, and we'll get some glue, and we'll go ahead and glue it on since I'm happy with how it is. So I'm going to use this weld bond. It glues pretty much anything. Like I said, pretty much I've had it not work on certain materials. Now I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but it's not super glue. So if I ever do need to take the rangefinder off, I can still get it off. I do use that weld bond in place of wood glue. Sometimes it's a little bit stronger than wood glue, but a little dab of it will be just fine in this application. And it dries clear, so if any of it squishes out, since it's such a tight fit, I don't have to worry too much because it is clear. But we will spread it out on there and get it going. Alright guys, so you can see I got my Velcro here, my scissors, and my super glue. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure these and put it up here. So I'm going to put the rough end, however you want to call it, it's the hook. There's hook and loop is Velcro. So the really stiff hook parts I'm going to put inside the helmet. And it is a double stick Velcro, but I'm still going to add some super glue to the helmet as well, just to make sure that it doesn't come up at all. I don't want it coming up by accident somehow, so I don't think it hurts to put extra adhesive on there. And then I'll put it again on the actual clamshell part, and you'll see I'm measuring with the piece that was included, which is just the loop part, the soft fuzzy part, is all that came with the kit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and super glue those together and have them fit, and they're done. Alright guys, so here it is, all done. Thanks for watching this. It's a kind of a long video. Be sure to click subscribe and check out some of the other videos. It's a long series for this helmet, and I also have some on my DC-17 blasters. But there you see exactly how the clamshell works when it comes on and off and closes right back up. So be sure to subscribe and check out some of the other content, and see you guys next time.